Day 2, the match play in Blackpool. An enthralling night kicked off with Brendan Dolan against Vincent van der Voort.
Crowd favourite, Vincent van der Voort. Brendan Dolan probably shook hands with at least 50% of the crowd here this evening. We've had 6-9 dart finishes in Blackpool before. We could be on for 7. Oh, we were so close to 7. Told you it was going to be good.
Wow, I wouldn't want to be on the end of that right hand.
Beautiful last dart. And their history maker is having an historical night. It's an absorbing game of darts, this. Golden shots, and Brendan Dolan is through in a match that at times was absolutely scintillating.
Following that, a showdown between Menzies Suljovic and Terry Jenkins, an enthralling battle. Went the distance and beyond. Jenkins 9-6 down, somehow found a bit of form. Suljovic put his foot on the accelerator though and closed out an 11-9 victory. Jenkins heading out, the 14th seed packing his bags. Big celebration from Suljovic, a huge smile. Up next, Gary Anderson against Steve Beaton. Following that, 2007 champion James Wade against Kyle Anderson. Brendan Dolan will take on James Wade or Anderson, and Menzies Suljovic up against, Anderson or Beaton. Wade or Kyle Anderson, that is. Rod Harrington alongside me. Jenkins seems to be struggling with his darts a little bit now, slipping out of his hand.
Yeah, the trouble with Jenks is he throws a very smooth dart. So the sweat that's getting on your hands is obviously making, especially the third dart. When you dry your hands, you come up, you throw legs 1 and 2, darts 1 and 2, and by the time you get the third dart, that sweat is causing it to slip. And you could see him at times doing this. And it's the same with Vincent van der Voort. At times he was losing darts, but they know how hot it is. This is the hottest stage they're ever going to play, and they've played here before. It's just, you have to get over it.
The standard wasn't brilliant, but the excitement was.
Well, I mean, again, when I commentate with Crofty, I said you don't have to have 110 average to have some excitement. I mean, the crowd were behind both games, and especially that last one, when it went 10-all. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Anderson followed by Anderson, Gary Anderson, then Kyle Anderson. Gary Anderson taking on Steve Beaton. Could be interesting. This Beaton will never give up.
No, I mean, he's a good old campaigner. He knows how to take out the doubles under pressure. He's been there. He's been a world champion. But Gary Anderson's leg-on-leg scoring power, and now he hits doubles, is going to be tough for Steve to beat. But if Steve gets into him early and class every mini-session as a best-of-5, don't think about winning, you know, the 10 legs. Win 3-2 in each session, and that's how your mindset has to be.
Is the heat going to affect these players?
It will, it will. The later it goes on in the night, the more heat that generates from the crowd, the lights, and it will get stifling at times, but we've got to get over it.
Amazing season so far for Gary Anderson, Premier League champion, world champion. He's been talking to our very own Laura Woods.
Glory, glory, Gary Anderson!
Gary, thank you for joining us. How is life different for a double champion?
Nah, it's just the same, you know. I mean, we do it week in, week out, tournaments, you know, so it's just part of the parcel now.
And the world champion has added the Premier League crown to his array of titles.
Does success breed success? Do you feel different?
Nah, I think it doesn't matter how well you play, you always need a bit of luck. I went a good few years, wasn't playing well, had no luck. My luck changed, and yeah, it's been all right since.
You are going to go inadvertently for this treble crown. The only other player that's ever done that is Phil Taylor. What would that mean to you to get that?
It would be nice if it's something that Phil has got his name to, you know, it's nice to be part of that as well, you know, because everyone will remember Phil Taylor.
What about the World Matchplay? So this is a tournament that you haven't won yet. Your round 1 opponent is the bronze Adonis, Steve Beaton.
It's a silver Adonis now. Isn't that right, Steve?
People describe you as the most naturally gifted player in darts. How does that make you feel when you hear that?
You need to go to Specsavers, I think. It's weird, you know, ever since I've thrown a dart, I've played the same since the first time I picked up a set of darts, so I don't know what you call natural gifted or not.
We know for you that luck is a component, as you've just explained. What are the other components that have to come together for you to have a good game?
Luck. More luck. Even more luck.
Are you the kind of player that has a goal So at the beginning of the year, you know what you want to achieve.
I just plod along. I'll always be that way. You know, if I start thinking I want to do this, I want to do that. It's nice to think that way, but it doesn't always happen. So I'd rather just not get upset or disappointed with anything and just plod along.
Well, we can't wait to watch you plod along tonight. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Cheers, Dave.
Hello, welcome back to this amazing atmosphere at the Winter Gardens, Blackpool! Welcome to the BetMixer World Match Play that's brought to you by the Professional Darts Corporation and live on Sky Sports. Time now to meet the players. Time to meet the former champion of the world, the one, the only, the bronze Adonis, Steve Beaton! Ladies and gentlemen, it's your time to meet the reigning champion of the world, the Flying Scotsman, Gary Anderson!
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. Back in the wind, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up, you better back up, try and play a role in your whole bubble act up. Get up, stand up, come on, put your hands up if you got the feeling. Jump up, touch the ceiling, monsters of fun, plus someone's fucking jump, yo, I'll bust them in the eye, and then I'll take the punch. I came to get down, I came to get down, so get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, jump up and get down, jump up, jump, jump, jump up, jump, jump,
22nd year of the match play, Steve Beaton. This is 16th appearance, some record.
It is a great record, and I think it's testament to how professional he has been throughout his career. Not only been a great player, but he's always looked after himself, which gives you longevity in the game, and you know, he's proven it with him still here.
The weight of expectation is on Gary Anderson's shoulders, given the Triple Crown. A big deal's been made of this in the last few weeks in the build-up to this tournament. Will he feel the pressure?
I don't think so. I think he's used to it by now. He's proved to himself over the last year actually how good he is. And Gary Anderson, he seems to be in a good place in his head. He seems very comfortable. He hasn't practiced a lot in the last fortnight, but that's what Gary Anderson does.
Do you believe him when he says that?
Well, you know, when they say that, you're a little bit tongue-in-cheek at times, but he can be lazy. But sometimes it works for players. You don't have to practice 4 or 5 hours every single day to keep your form. You can get a little bit bored.
Steve Beaton, the former world champion, taking on a reigning world champion. Will he go down as one of the greats, Gary Anderson, if he wins this?
He's certainly on the road to being a great. I mean, a great, you've got to be over perhaps 5-10 years of winning tournaments, but he certainly at the moment is one of the greatest players that we've had in the game. You know, his performances have justified that.
Wayne Mardle and Rod Studio commentators.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah. Two of the silkiest throwers
55.
in world darts. Gary Anderson owns two of the biggest titles in the game, the World Championship and the Premier League crown, looking to make it a hat-trick and make it a triple crown. Steve Beaton has other ideas. Anderson an overwhelming favourite at 14 to 1 on.
140.
8-1 Steve Beaton, but Wayne, what a run for the outsiders today.
6 on the bounce.
60.
This would be the biggest upset of them all, though, wouldn't it? And that's taking nothing away from Steve Beaton, former world champ, of course.
140.
On his day, we know what Steve can do, but it's doing it against the very best, isn't it? And Gary Anderson is, at the moment, playing the darts of his life. The last 6 meetings, interestingly enough, have been 3 apiece, so Steve knows that he can beat the world champ.
126. Steve requires 170.
Got to go out on 170 to hold throw. Unlucky Steve.
105. Gary require 40.
Double 20. Double 10 now. Just with those 3 darts, Gary Anderson has shown you the difference between him of now and maybe 14, 16 months ago. He would have slightly panicked and missed 14 months ago, but now it goes in.
Well, before collecting
60,
the 2 biggies, the World and the Premier League, he'd also won the Players' Championship, which seemed to shift his mentality and give him the confidence. And that victory in the final over Phil Taylor at the Alexandra Palace was, well, something to behold. An event to remember 93. And say that you were there in that 7-6 thriller.
Well, he was involved in one of the Matchplay Classics last year, wasn't he, against Phil Taylor in the semi-finals. An incredible match. He seems to get involved. He gets embroiled in these dramas.
94.
And that, the first time he got beyond the last 16 at the match play. A shocking record before last year. Nothing shocking about that. From the world champ. Treats us to a maximum. And that's one of the facets of his game that's returned, Wayne. When he was a little bit in the doldrums a couple of years ago, he was struggling in bottom of the Premier League on a couple of occasions. His 180 hitting rather disappeared, but back now, double 11.
Aim shot in the second leg. Gary Anderson, the next Steve to Roper.
Confidence is an amazing thing. And Steve needs to get rid of that 93. Donut. The O must go.
Well, these 2 darlings of the Darterati, the former Dream Boy and the Bronzed Adonis, both admitting that they're a little old for those nicknames now, Wayne, aren't they?
Yeah, that they are a bit. They are. But the thing with Steve is that, and you've already mentioned it, Rod, about their actions. This is why Steve Beaton's been around for so long. Can be so silky smooth. Look at Steve, even his darts are nice, aren't they?
Well, he, with a grin, says he's the grey Adonis these days, Steve.
190.
Colourful darts from Gary Anderson, though. What a start from the world champ, a second max.
94.
He's beaten one of the gents of the darting circuit.
58. Stevie requires 74.
42. 20 now. Is that awkward, Steve? No? Tops?
34. Gary requires 113.
Oh, perfect dart to plunder the third leg. You made the point, Wayne, quite rightly. In leg 1, you fancy Anderson to hit doubles now. A couple of years ago, you doubt him, but those doubling doubts have just disappeared as the titles and trophies have arrived.
100.
And we know the long formats don't faze Gary. The longer you go without a leg, it can become a real ordeal to win one, especially when your opponent is the likes of Gary Anderson. And we've seen already in this championship
91.
where so many players have rattled off early leads. Seems to be a bit of a trait for the match play at the moment. And none of them have kind of pulled it back, apart from Mervyn King. But he couldn't go ahead and beat Andrew Gilding anyway. Steve definitely picked up the pace for those 3 darts.
135.
May have already reached the point where he's thinking, I've got to do something else because what I'm doing isn't working.
56.
Well, talking of big leads disappearing, Gary Anderson was 5-0 up over Dean Winstanley here at the match play.
140.
Lost. You recall, Wayne?
I do. It was when Dino had the amazing bullseye.
70.
Not here this year, Dino.
80.
Dean. What's happened to Dean? Oh, double 10. Well, it was a mistake.
70.
Hitting the double top, of course. Wanted to go high to avoid the treble, but not that high, Steve. Well, he's going to get another go, Steve Beaton, as Anderson hits the wrong treble.
80.
Already a must.
10.
Got to go in. Has to.
Well,
Well, he pulled it a bit, but that
Steve Beaton
was in the corner. It's 3-1.
Fifth leg,
And he feels
Steve
slightly better about
Beaton.
himself.
Game on.
Break and throw also. Can hold, and it'll be 3-2.
140. 140.
Being played at a good pace as well. We've seen a few matches like this today. Normally
100.
makes for a good game.
Steve Beaton is David
57.
Rob was saying beforehand, 16th appearance at the World Matchplay. Only Phil Taylor has had more than that. His best run to the semi-finals in 2001.
140.
Quarter-finals in 98. A long time since he's had a real decent run then, isn't it?
Yeah, but it just shows you that he has been able to hack the rising quality of play, and he really has. He's gone along with it.
Stevie required 121.
19 years ago he won the world title. Bullseye now. Will he go for it?
76.
Well, he did. Probably wishes he hadn't.
To get it back
45.
to 3-2 when it was 3-0. Double 16. Up a bit.
29. Gary requires
And you
75.
fancy Anderson in his current mood to take this out.
Indeed. There you go, 2 darts, no drama. You see the look on Steve Beaton's face when he missed the double 16. It was anguish, and he was punished to the hilt. Gary Anderson leads Steve Beaton at the first break by 4 legs to 1. The world champ is on the march. Play darts here at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. Brendan Dolan did a job on Vincent van der Voort. Vincent just double 12 for a 9-darter. Terry Jenkins losing out to Mensur Suljovic. 11-9, real good contest. Right now Gary Anderson leads Steve Beaton by 4 legs to 1. And after that, James Wade takes on Kyle Anderson. James Wade, a 4-time runner-up and 1-time champion here. Can he add to that tally? Well, right now, Rod, Gary Anderson leads 4-1. He said in his pre-match interview that he needs luck and more luck. Well, he had a bit in the last leg, didn't he, where Steve Beaton missed 2 darts at 32 to make it 3-2. Could have made all the difference.
Yeah, but you're still going to be good enough to take advantage of the luck, Wayne, haven't you?
Exactly.
121.
And he is.
Yeah, just a bit.
World number 3 now, but breathing right down Phil Taylor's neck, who's world number 2, and then there's a yawning gap really to MVG.
He has been world number 2, Gary, for a couple of months, and then just relinquished that spot to Phil. We'll probably see them flip-flop in 2 and 3 over the coming months.
The prize money, and remember the world rankings are based simply on the money,
40.
Rather makes a nonsense of the situation, because this tournament, I use the word only in inverted commas, has a first prize of £100,000.
140.
It's more prestigious than the points are gained by that prize, isn't it?
Very much so. 54.
138. Gary, you require 111.
11. Tops.
Boom! Charge in the Sickler. Gary Anderson.
1-1-3, and now 1-1-1.
Black Steve to throw first.
World champion leads 5-1.
63% on his doubles. When these big hitters, and I'm including your Adrian Lewis, Phil Taylor, Michael van Gerwen,
60.
Gary, obviously, when they hit the doubles at that kind of rate, 63, you're going to find yourself in all sorts of trouble.
61.
Phil Taylor makes his entrance tomorrow. It's John Henderson. Also on the card, RBB
43.
against Andy Hamilton. Dave Chisnell against Jamie Caven, and Robert Thornton plays Keegan Brown.
140.
And that will complete the first round and give us the elite last 16.
100.
Well, when Anderson looks to book his ticket, or is booking his ticket for the last 16.
The winner of this match will play Mensur Suljovic, who, if you watched the last match, we've seen him beat Terry Jenkins. Well, he's not showing all his talents in this leg, Gary Anderson.
56. Stevie requires 78.
54 for 24. Double 6. That
No score.
is careless. Oh, I'm not sure what Gary's laughing at, but something's made him chuckle.
100. Stevie requires 78.
I think he was chuckling at his chucking, which has been pretty ordinary from Anderson in this leg, but well, this is going to be absolute larceny if he manages to win this leg from here. Beaton was down to a double, it seems like 5 minutes ago. Bust the 78. Now he's on 12 when he comes back. Gary Anderson's having a summit meeting with referee Georgie Noble about what to go for next, and Beaton now sizing up double 6.
He's made a real mess of the last 6 darts. Well, that is a darting disaster. Gary Anderson
32.
was roughly about 250 points behind in this leg, but Steve busting the 78 and then missing again. He will be thinking, what on earth did I do there? Well, he's kind of gifting the game now to Gary Anderson.
May well just get on to the strangest legs of darts DVD. Here's one starting more conventionally from the world champion as he fires in his 3rd matchman of the match.
100.
Steve Beaton got himself in a rare old pickle. Was punished again.
101.
Well, Gary was on a 9-darter. Is it many of those? But for those of you who don't know the endless talent that Gary's got, he's actually achieved 3 147s in snooker as well. Apparently he had the choice.
Is he really?
He has, yes. I find that absolutely staggering. Apparently he had the choice to be a dart professional or snooker professional, and well, we know where it took him, don't we? World champ.
80.
Well, well, well.
I would like to know if there's anyone else out there that has ever achieved that feat of a 9-darter and a 147.
Gary Anderson.
As Gary moves within 3 legs of a place in the second round against Mensur.
Has this been properly substantiated, Wayne?
Yes.
55.
Yes.
Absolutely remarkable.
And apparently, still to this day, if you want to challenge Gary to a game of snooker, he'll rattle in a 60 or 70 against you. My.
134.
I'll move over Stephen Hendry. Scotland has a new snooker star in town. Oh, but he's pretty good at darts as well.
140.
Oh, Gary. 7-1. Steve Beaton paying the prize for missing doubles. He hits his first max.
Look. 3-1 down. Steve missed the 2 darts at double 16 to go 4-1. Then he made a real hash of the 78 to go 6-1. So it could have been slightly different. Could have at least been
100.
5-3. But it's not, because what we've already uttered, Gary now takes his chances.
46.
Well, he went for a 13 and
32.
made a mess of it.
8. Yes, Steve Beaton finally gets another leg on the board. 7-2 behind. Frustrating evening for the Adonis. But he looks good even when he's losing.
96.
There's always that consolation. You're looking good, Steve.
He doesn't feel good, though, does he, up there? Real frustrating night for Steve.
100.
It is a game of ifs and buts and maybes, but Steve will come off stage thinking if only I'd hit that double there, or this double, it could have been so different.
121.
I think some would have expected Gary to have a higher average of just over 95.
58.
With a 58% double strike rate as well. I'd expect that to be well over a ton. But he's leading 7-2, so no dramas.
Well, no pleasure by the pleasure beach for poor old Steve Beaton. Anderson looking to go 8-2 up here in the next couple of visits.
60.
Really needs a 180 or 140. Nothing else will do. Begging for it.
140.
60 was begging to be hit.
124.
He's already had 2-ton plus finishes. Can he add another? No.
41. Stevie require 146.
There's a shake of the head from Steve.
60.
Nothing's really happened for him, has it?
83.
Missed doubles, 13%. He's had 16 darts at a double and missed 14 of them. Only won 180. Double 9 now for Gary. Just settling himself. He gets it. Gary Anderson won the first session 4-1 and he's just won the next one 4-1. Steve Beaton, whilst he won't give up, he's probably thinking the writing's on the wall here, but he's got to come back fighting after this break.
Sunday night at the Matchplay. Good night for Brendan Dolan. And good night, Vincent van der Voort. He's out, 10-6. Jenkins out as well. The ball sent packing by Mensah Silovic in a nail-biter. The world champion has entered the arena and he's 8-2 up on Steve Beaton. And in the last match of the night, James Wade takes on the Australian Kyle Anderson, who's making his debut here at the Winter Gardens. So good luck to Kyle in a very tough game against the machine.
Well, this, the way it's unfolded, is a story about missed doubles from Steve Beaton. He's had 3 more darts at a double than Gary, but he's only had 2 successful ones, whereas Gary's had 8 from 13. 2 ton plus finishes, 3 180s. Steve has just struggled from the very outset. Never easy to chase in a darts match. You've got to control the aggression and just try to relax. Easier said than done.
Anderson cruising along. The crowd still abuzz, I think, with the revelation that Gary Anderson has made 3 147 breaks at snooker.
133. Gary requires 161.
Unfounded rumours that he shot 64 at the old course in St Andrews.
63.
Oh, sorry.
129.
What a setup there from the Flying Scotsman to leave 32 after a dozen darts, and Beaton can't go out. So Anderson now to move within a single leg of round 2.
100. Gary requires 32.
Double 8.
Steve shot in the 11th leg.
Steve now is just not getting a sniff. This to wrap it up in double quick time.
Well, you're right, Wayne. There hasn't been the high-octane, high-scoring from Gary Anderson, but the finishing has been clinical.
76.
With the precision of a surgeon.
Anything north of 50% is fantastic. 60% at the moment. And the scoring, mostly hasn't been at his brilliant best. There's not been 2 bad shots running. He seems to have played the perfect match in a whatever's going to beat a 90 average, which is what Stevie's doing.
97.
Both the sessions that they've played have ended 4-1 to Anderson. That opened up an 8-2 lead. That's been extended to 9-2. And now the finishing line in sight.
98.
All the favourites had lost today, all 6 of them, before Anderson has got one back for favourite backers.
140. Stevie,
go on, Stevie, baby. Well, he looks disappointed, doesn't he?
130. Gary
12 ball or treble 20. Touches his confidence. He might have a pop at treble 20. No, the bullseye.
Now
25 for bull. Well, he could always gone 51 for 24 if he didn't fancy it.
Yes.
88. Stevie required 40.
To save the match. Oh. Well, he doesn't look ecstatic about it, does he, Steve?
Why wouldn't?
Game on.
Still 3-9 down. Got the darts here, though.
Got to start somewhere, man.
Wow. You've got to win 7 on the trot to level up at 9 all. You've got to win 1 before you get to 7, Wayne. Without a doubt.
66.
Switching around
57.
unsuccessfully.
Should be.
140.
Be interesting to hear what Gary Anderson makes of his performance tonight. If indeed he does go on to close the door, just to get his appraisal on what he's done here.
Routine, professional. It's been good. I think it's been all right. I think it's been quite good. I think he's looked sharp enough. We sometimes become a bit infatuated with averages and stats. They're there as a guide, and they're there to be used.
140. Stevie requires 72.
Choice of treble. From 16 then for Steve.
56. Gary requires 58.
Steve would hate his last darts to be missed darts at a double, but it could well work out that way.
38.
Just threw that a bit quickly,
Steve
Gary.
requires 16.
To prolong the contest, Steve Beaton needs this double four.
12.
Well, it's rather summed up the game, because Steve Beaton has missed 20, count them, 20 darts at double.
Double 10.
No score.
Well, it's turning into a missed double-a-thon. Gary's laughing, but he's not finding it funny. He might be slightly embarrassed. Well, that's another leg back.
Steve Beaton. 14 playing Gary to throw first. Game on.
Steve Beaton has actually thrown
39.
more darts at double in this match than Gary Anderson, who leads 9-4. Steve Beaton has thrown 24 darts at double and missed 20. Anderson, 20 attempts and hit 9. 5 of them were for the match.
Saved by the last dart. It's all got a bit sloppy, hasn't it?
Anderson. Michael Van Gerwen the other night. Last night, in fact, who's got a long time ago. 9-1 up against Benito van der Passen. Benito 1-3 on the trot before Van Gerwen slammed the door.
Yeah, but Michael seemed to lack a bit of focus. There you have it. Wraps it up with 118 to join the finishes of 113 and 111. It wasn't really Steve Beaton's night, but Gary Anderson through, after beating Gary by 10 legs to 4. He's in the second round in his quest for the Triple Crown. He will play in the second round. Mensur Suljovic. Coming next, we have James Wade against Carl Anderson.